story, and I hope maybe you'll take something home from him. And it's Mr. Keith Drum from Dog on the Roof Group. Yeah, thanks.
Hello, everybody. I'm an alcoholic. My name's Keith. By God's grace, Alcoholics Anonymous, room's full of people like you, and a little bit of effort on my own. I've not taken a drink of alcohol, nor have I used any kind of narcotic since May 11th, 1976, and for that I'm especially grateful. Glad to be here. Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be sober. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a privilege to see some of my friends. Larry and I have been friends for many, many years, and Chip and the crew from Columbus, and many other people I've met on the path of Alcoholics Anonymous and around, and it's always it's special. I got up 3 o'clock this morning and went to the airport, and I got on a plane and sat in the middle between two people I didn't know, and conducted myself in a gentlemanly manner, which means I didn't pass gas. And the guy next to me kept jerking as he went to sleep and hitting me in the elbow with his elbow. I didn't hit him. The lady next to me in the window seat noticed my tattoos and wanted to know if I was a gangbanger. But no, I'm too old for that. She had a plane to catch, and I let her out early, and I got off there, and I got my bag and got out of there, and Mick met me and went to the hotel and made some phone calls and talked to my wife, and was able to come over here and be here and get in with the deal, I love the deal, the enthusiasm. It's one of those evenings where we can all gather together, and there's something I love about Alcoholics Anonymous. When alcoholics are in the room, it's just a buzz, and everybody's talking and nobody's listening, and it's just my point is, if I didn't have something to look forward to when he called, I would have said, nah, get a local guy. See? I could have done that. I've been up in this area the last 4 weekends, to Detroit and all over, and I looked at my book this morning, and I'm just an alcoholic. I came to AA, and they told me to get vocal, and they haven't been able to shut me up since. But I looked at my book this morning, and 30 years ago, my wife and daughter and I talked at a convention. I'm over 32 years sober. A little over 2 years sober, we talked at a convention as an AA on Alateen. So I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never missed a commitment. I've never missed a flight connection. I've never canceled because I double booked. And before I got to AA, I couldn't show up for nothing. So, there's something to be said for a commitment in Alcoholics Anonymous. And yet the most important thing was that whenever I found out I was coming here, some of the guys and gals from Columbus called and said they would come over here tonight, and people that I know would be here, and people that I care for, and it just seems to lift me up, and it makes me excited about sobriety, and I hope I never lose that. If we don't do anything else tonight, it's a gathering of people that are looking for something. We've got different lengths of sobriety and walks of life where people who normally wouldn't mix. So why is this room full of people if not to find something will keep us coming back? That's what I came here for. I came here so that I could find something that would keep me coming back, that I could hook onto something. And I'm grateful that the old-timers, when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, set the hook. They set the hook. And I've been keep coming back ever since. And I haven't always wanted to. I haven't. My sobriety is worse than a lot of people's drunk along. So I'm not. I'm not a success story. I'll tell you what I am. I'm a survivor. I am a survivor, baby. I survived on them streets, and I've survived Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's something. Let me tell you, if you can survive Alcoholics Anonymous, then you surely have a higher power. Because you got to go through all that stuff sober. I have a home group, and my home group's 47 years old. I didn't start it. I'm just a member of it. I've been there ever since I came to Alcoholics Anonymous and sobered up. I'm not one of those guys that came to AA and sobered up the first time I went to an AA meeting. Nothing wrong with that. I just wasn't through drinking, and I kept drinking. I came to AA my first time in 1970, and I ultimately sobered up in 1976. So I went to meetings drunk, drank coffee and sobered up in the meeting. I went to meetings sober and drank whiskey during the meeting and got drunk. And came out of a blackout in the meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's scary. I would have left, but I didn't know who brought me, so I know you can go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and if you're not through drinking, you're not through drinking. I'm grateful they didn't throw me out. I didn't create any big disturbances or anything, but I just wasn't through, and they knew that. And so when the student was ready, the teacher appeared, and when those teachers appeared, thank God for the old-timers. I am eternally grateful for the old-timers, the no-nonsense AA guys back there that just screwed me up, and they didn't pat me on the poo-poo. They were mean to me, and if I hadn't been tough, I wouldn't have stayed, and I'm grateful for that. I was born in Texas, and that don't make you an alcoholic. It's a disease of its own, and so that you'll know the difference between a Texas tale and a fairy tale. Fairy tale starts out once upon a time, and a Texas tale starts out, you're probably not going to believe this shit, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I was born into an alcoholic family, and I don't know if I was an alcoholic when I was born, but when I had my first drink, an alcoholic was born. And growing up in an alcoholic family, it's good because there's always something to drink. And I had something to drink. And I'm at least a fifth-generation alcoholic. I don't tell you that to brag. I tell you that for two reasons. One reason is that I hope if I keep doing what I'm doing, my wife keeps doing what she's doing, and my daughter keeps doing what she's doing continually, all three of us for over 32 years, maybe the chain is broken. Just maybe the chain is broken. And secondly, all the character defects of all the other alcoholics roll into me. The character defects of each one of the types of alcoholics in my family, 5 different generations, by the time they all trickle down to me, I was the family's best, worst example. I really was. I just had them all. And I'm not bragging about it. It's just I was not like any of the other alcoholics in my family. My father was an alcoholic. He was a lawyer. He graduated from the University of Oklahoma Law School, practiced law for 60 years. 60 years in Oklahoma. The governor of Oklahoma gave him an award for practicing law for 60 years. He died 89 years old, 27 years sober. And he sobered up when he was 62 years old. I had 14 months of seniority on him, and I never let him forget it. I always wanted to one-up my old man, and I had to come to AA to do it. But AA put a family back together, and I'm grateful for that. My wife and I have been together for 50 years, and married for 48, and she's not my first wife. She's my current wife, and I never let her forget that. She's the best part of the whole deal, I'll guarantee you. She's a hanger in there, and she's my buddy, she's my friend, and we've been together a long time. And I came to Alcoholics Anonymous with a wife and a daughter and a dog and a cat, and Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon and Al-Team put that family back together, and I'm grateful for that. I started drinking at an early age. I got in trouble at an early age. You can line 10 women up against the wall, and I get the sickest one out of the bunch every time. Every time. That's a character trait, not a character defect, a character trait. We're born with character traits, and we develop character defects. And I would find the sickest one, and it would become a defect. And I was a violent drunk, physically violent drunk. I was a scared little boy. I grew up to be a scared little boy. So I had a lot of fear, and fear people will react to fear in different ways. some people hunker down in the corner and you can't get them out there with a stick of dynamite. Other people react to fear, and I drove fear like a fast car. It was an adrenaline rush, and better than any speed I ever did. I did a lot of speed, don't get me wrong. I love speed. It was like going 190 miles an hour with your feet nailed to the floor. But I had an uncle that was a doctor, and he enhanced my thinking and my drinking in that little black bag. So I moved right on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I'm not a specialist. I'm a pig. The only thing I've never had is a pap smear. But I'm a blackout drinker, and I drink with people who would give you one, so, I guess that's what I got to look forward to if but I got in trouble. And I was locked up when I was 12 and a half years old with a bunch of other young men and little boys in this place was barbed right around. It wasn't a big-time convict. And I functioned very good. They had contact sports in there, and I functioned very good. They had ex-Marines running the place, and a lot of contact sports. And drinking was like a contact sport for me. And I functioned very well in a very disciplined environment and participated good, and I got out of that little stint when I learned some things when I was locked up. There's nothing wrong with being locked up. I don't look back on it and think I've been tempted. I learned some things. I learned how to survive. And when I got out of there, I got married, and I got in trouble, and my father-in-law come to jail to see me, and he walked up to the cell, and he said, "I'm a very wealthy man." And I said, "I know that." He said, "The reason I'm a wealthy man is because I don't make bad investments, and you're a bad investment." And so they annulled me, and the beginning of my abandonment issues. And I moved right on, and as a result of a couple of other things, I was caught in Fort Worth, Texas, in a hit and run in a stolen vehicle, and they had some burlap bags in the trunk with some outside issues in them. And as a result of that, they locked me up for a little stint down there. And when I got out, I survived that. I learned some things in there, too. And I survived that, and I got out, and I got my $100 and a new suit, and I went home, which is what I always did. I went home. And I went home, and when I got to the house, I had some buddies there, and we went to a dance, and I started to fight, and fell in love. All the same, dance, really. And I started this fight, and it got out of hand, and I made me sick, but I'm not stupid. I ducked in the woman's restroom, and there's a lady standing there, and I said, "Tell me when to fight over." And I ran in the woman's restroom. Pretty soon she came in and said, "You can come out now." And I came out, and the guy was playing. She was handy and a quick study. I found out she had a job, a car, a driver's license, money in the bank, place to stay, none of which did I have. And I said, "Where have you been all my life?" And I said, "Stick with me, baby, and I'll take you places you've never been before." And I did, too. And that was over 50 years ago, and we're still together. So I found out later she finished the fight that I started. And we dated for 2 weeks, and they nicknamed us Hatchet and Hammer. It was just absolutely violent all the time. We called it foreplay. We just couldn't have any passion unless somebody was bleeding. It was just absolutely insane. And it's because the rocks in my head put the holes in hers. It's just, but I know we would, it's meant to be, because 50 years later, everybody said we wouldn't make it. They're all dead. The one thing, I might tell you this, I've never had marriage counselor, I've never had anything but good sex. Good sex. And I still have sex once a week, whether I need it or not. And I'm almost 70 and she's 66, so we're still out there in the bedroom, human. And I'm not going to give AA credit for that, because we both have to do a little work. It's not a visual, it's healthy. And I'm proud of it. I'm pretty damn proud of it, man. And I'm proud of it. We're just like the county fair. We just get bigger and better every year. We're buddies. Anyway, we hooked up, and she got pregnant and told me I remember talking about that. I must have been crossing over the invisible line when we had that discussion. But anyway, I did the right thing. We got married and we had a little girl. And, I don't know how. I was sober, I don't know how many years, a couple of years before I knew responsibility is the ability to respond. I didn't know that. I just did whatever I did. And people, when I got there, people said, one day at a time, no problem. I lived like it was no tomorrow. For years. You know? Drinking was like, when I was drinking, it was a combat zone. There was always something going on, always something going on. And my wife, she's the one that the neighbor said, shut that woman up. She's sober. She's over there just yelling and squeaking and clawing. She picked up this butcher knife, started carrying this butcher knife around, 12-inch butcher knife. I may be sick, but I'm not stupid. I never sharpened the knives in my house. I don't, no. I passed out on her 15 minutes into a 2-hour conversation. They don't like that. I had an old T-shirt on and I passed out on my stomach. She stabbed me all over my back. And when I came to, I said, something's wrong with my back. She said, oh, let me see. She peeled my shirt. I said, you broke out of acne in the back. Bring that rag off with you. I said, let me get the rubbing alcohol. I'll fix you. That'll get you right with Jesus. I'll bring all them guys home with me, all them tough guys, I'm mean. I said, come on over my house. Come on over my house. All the doors in my house were knocked off the hinges. We didn't set them back up because when she started chasing me, I ran. I go up the end of the line, them guys, she's up there waving that butcher knife. I like guns myself. I like guns with a big barrel, big hole in the barrel. I stick it right on her nose. She'd stick that knife right in my stomach. She'd say, you go first. I said, you're crazy. If I shoot you, you'll die. So I know if the bullet hit me, knock me back, and the knife will go forward, and you'll die too. Sick women don't have to train for that. There ain't no boot camp for that. Some guys say, get out, said, step to the head of the line, eh? Come on up. I get all my bros over there, all drunk, running around like a bunch of old dogs, and she's going through the house naked. Going right through the house naked, right out the back, right in the back of the house. Guys say, what was that? I don't know. I think that's the thing that keeps changing the vodka out of the bottle and putting water in it. I prided myself in being able to choke somebody right for the brink of death. Their eyes glaze over and they get a look about them. And just take them like that. I used to do that to her all the time. She'd be yelling and screeching, I'd grab her around the neck and choke her. She went down on her and said, all I ever wanted was 100% of his attention. I knew that when he was choking me, he was thinking of nothing but me. He was getting up on that. I didn't know that. Crazy. It was crazy. I was crazy. Found myself in front of a judge and he had the right guy. I'd been in a fight and the guy hit me upside the head with a crescent wrench. Almost tore my ear off, so they took me down to the hospital, had me on jail, burned me down there, handcuffed down, and sewed my ear back on, put a big old skin off on me. It was all blood-soaked. I had a long beard, long hair, and I had a pair of cut-off Levi's, no underwear, no socks, no shoes, no half-beater T-shirt, all blooded up. I was traveling pretty light, really. Laying there on the gurney, someone got me and took me over to the jailhouse. Come up in front of this judge I'd seen him before. And he said, go back over and wait. Oh, that ain't good. And he said, I could put you away. I could put you away for some time. I said, but they got this AA thing. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I owed some people in jail money. I may be cheap, but I ain't stupid. If you give me anything else, I'll go to it. I don't know what this AA is. I'm doing myself. But I don't want to go to jail and owe them people money. was going to be good. And so I said, I'll go to AA. So I had a guy come and get me, and he told me where the AA meeting was over by my house. Took me home. I went in and laid down, laid on no vinyl couch, and my ears stuck to it. She'd been to see a new lawyer, and he said maybe I should go to AA. So she come home and she said, I think we should go to AA. And I said, okay. I thought it'd come to that. I didn't tell her I had a court card. Let us know it was her idea, so she said, we'll go to this meeting over here. What time does it start? So it starts at 8:30. We'll go at 8, and it's over at 10. I laid there, and pretty soon she come over. Time passed, and she stuck that knife down at me, and she said, get up. I said, I don't think I'm going to go. She said, I think you are. She peeled me off the couch. Now, let me give you this study. My house is painted 4 different colors because I lost interest easy. There's a motorcycle stuck in the front of the house where I did a wheelie up the driveway and no brakes. Slammed it into the front of the house. Had a silver in the net over on the side, half on the neighbor's yard with weeds growing up through it. The doors in the house was all knocked off. The family wagon was a baby poop brown Pinto. Had no reverse. Holding muffler went down the road crooked, and the driver's window was half down and half up. You had to drive up through the neighbor's driveway and park out in front. And she'd go in beehive hairdos with a can and a half of spray in it. The kid looked like a wounded animal. The dog chewed all the hair off his body everywhere his mouth had reached. He's got permanent dry mouth, and his teeth are all shining all the time. And he got a twitch, and the cat's got a permanent puff pedal and crazy. And the inside of the pedal's got dog hair and cat hair all over the windows. And I got this blood-soaked earmuff on, and we go out and get the old Pinto to go to the first AA meeting. She pulls up in front of the church kind of like this, got a big AA sign out there. She pulls up, I looked in, a bunch of people in there. And my first thought was, well, my friends see me going in here, they'll never have nothing to do with me again. That's called low-bottom snobbery. I don't care where you come from, that's low-bottom snobbery. She sensed my approach avoidance, and she stuck that knife in my face and said, what time is the meeting over now? I said, it's over at 10. She said, I'm going to tell you something. If your ass comes out of that door for 10, I'm going to gut you. I went to that meeting. You got a crazy woman circling the perimeter with a 12-inch butcher knife. I'll stay in the room. I ain't coming out of the room. I got some reference points. So I sat in there for about 4 weeks and didn't drink or nothing. Laid on the couch. Nobody asked me if I needed the book. Nobody asked me if I needed a sponsor. I had out there in the Pinto. There she was. There was an Algon meeting next door, but there wasn't nothing wrong with her. And everybody load up, go over there, sit out there, have the dog and the cat and the kid. And man. Now I know from that, there's 2 kinds of people coming there. People come to change the conditions in their life, and the people come to change their life. And I just went to change the conditions in my life. My conditions changed. In that short period of time, I didn't drink or use nothing. And my conditions changed. Beat the bill down at the courthouse, everything's fine. She let me go over there, got some trust. She let me go over there, and I drove right by that AA meeting, went right down the street, got me a bottle of whiskey, and got drunk. And I stayed drunk. In and out of AA, more out than in for the next, from 1970 to 1976. And it never gets better. It always gets worse. And then it gets worse. And if you don't die, you got to come back to AA. Back to AA. And I come back to AA. I know what it's like to stand in my kitchen, look down the hallway with a 9-year-old girl down at the end of the hallway. She's got a pin on her chest and hairs in her face, and I got a bottle of vodka, and I turn around. I take a drink out of that bottle, and I look back. She's gone. She didn't want Daddy come and play with me. She just wanted to know what direction I was going, so she'd go the other way. I know what it's like to crawl out of the back of that house on my hands and my knees. The only money in that house is in my daughter's piggy bank, and I go and crawl on my hands and my knees, lip dragging, drunk, and pull her piggy bank out of that, under that bed and break it and separating the pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. Because I'm not going to be showing no copper when I go to the liquor store. It's going to be silver all the way. I know what it's like to stand in my bathroom and I'm putting that stuff in me, looking at me in that mirror. little 10-year-old girl was looking through the hole in the door in that bathroom where I probably stuck my foot at one time or another, and her eyes meet mine in that mirror, and just for a second, a moment in time, she didn't say, "Daddy, what are you doing? Please don't beat me and Mommy." She just looked at me to see which direction I was going, so she'd go the other way. And I lived like that, not a day or a week or a month. I lived like that for years. I didn't have to drink because I was ashamed. Man, you stick with me and I'll take you way past shame, Slick. I'll take you right on down there and lay some more track. I drank till I run out of friends and enemies at the same time. I run out of running room. And my last drunk started in sometime in December 1975. And I carried it on into May of 1976, and I made a call through a series of events, and some people from Alcoholics Anonymous had seen me in and out, and they came and made a 12-step call on me. And they took me and put me in a detox, something I'd never had. Detox, nothing. I said, how about some hard candy and Valium or something? No, detox, nothing. Eat a banana, you need some potassium. Shut up. Then they went and did a 12-step call to my wife and my daughter and told the family about recovery. You see, I would go to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I would hear the answer. And I would hear what I'm supposed to hear. And then I'd go home, and I'd say, "Get in the bedroom, I'm horny. I've been over that 80 minute honking and sniffing on the girls." She said, "You haven't made love to me in years." Then we'd have a big fight over who's the health companion. Then I'd go down the boulevard and be with the ladies that understood me, and I'd be drunk again. Then I'd come back, and I'd go to A&A, and they'd say, "No money, don't worry about the money." I'd go home, and she'd say, "I need some money." I said, "I'll give you a check." She went to jail because of my check. And we'd have a big fight about money. And then I'd go down to the liquor store and write a hot check, and I'd be drunk again. See? And I'd come home, and they'd say, "You got to stop the violence." And she'd get up in my face, and I'd say, "Get out of my face, I'm going to hit you." She'd take one step closer, and I'd say, "I'm telling you, get out of my face, I'm going to hit you." Take one step closer, bam, fight would be on, I'd be drunk again. See, the same me will always drink again. And I can't stay sober in an environment where I drank. And that house was a drunk house, a crazy house. And it didn't make any difference if I went and hear the answer. I was going home to a crazy, sick environment, family sick environment. And what I know today is that I had a phenomenon of craving. I had a phenomenon of craving, an idea that overpowered all other ideas. And that phenomenon of craving kept me drinking again and again and again. No matter what I did, no matter what I prayed, no matter what I joined, no matter what I tried to do, the phenomenon of craving kept me drinking again and again and again. And I didn't understand it. My whole family didn't understand the phenomenon of craving. Only until we came to the program and the whole family was able to sit down and read the doctor's opinion and the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous did we understand the phenomenon of craving. And I'm grateful today because today I can forgive myself because I understand that I had that phenomenon of craving. I never had a sober, clean time at all during those years. And therefore I had no progress as far as sobriety. And when they put me in that detox, they locked me up with 39 other people, men and women, and they locked us up. And they had people from Alcoholics Anonymous come into this detox and talk to us. And we were supposed to get a sponsor, and we were supposed to get work the steps and all that stuff. I mean, I was crazy. I've been loaded for 22 years. You don't just stop and detox and not want to get loaded. I said, I want to get drunk. I want to have something. Well, you should pray and it'll go away. No, I've been getting drunk for 22 years. You don't just stop and have it go away. I'm an alcoholic. Something's got to happen. So they said, you need a sponsor. I said, what's that, a friend? And now if you want a friend, get a dog. I said, my dog hates me. So I had this guy come over there, Rotten Ron. And Rotten Ron's another guy for over 9 years. And he was rotten. He was rotten to the core. He married the same woman 5 times. He was crazy. And he come over there on a panel. He called it Hospital and Institution panel. And he came in there and he said, I'm your sponsor. I said, great. I hate you. He said, well, that's fine. I hate you. It's not necessary that we like each other for this to work. Oh, well, that's good. I I said, well, I don't understand these people that I love you, but I hate you. If you can't do no better than that, get out of the hate business. I hate everybody equal. He said, good. And he took a matchbook, and he opened it up, and he took the matches out, and a paper clip out, and a little tiny pencil, and he said, here, do your inventory. I said, no, I need a big piece of paper and a big pencil. He said, no, you're not that important. Take this little piece of paper and put number 1 up there, and put number 1, you're a liar. Number 2, you're a phony. Number 3, you're a thief. I said, I can take it from there. I get the hint. You know, it's a funny thing. I'm out on the street, I'm splashing and banging. I'll tell you, when I drank, I was not only tough, but I was mean. I was a mean man. I sober up, I'm a wuss. I'm a wuss. My sponsor come over, and all I want him to do is just pat me on the head. He just pat me on the head. I just feel, oh, thank you, thank you. I'm like a little dog. He said, what happened to me? What happened to me, man? My wife said, you're not going to wuss that on me, right? Boy, my sponsor would walk in the room, and he'd look at me, and I think he'd say something to somebody else, and then he'd look at me, and I think he'd say, how you doing? And I'd just go, it's just like I stuck it right out of him. Just, oh, he stood higher than me. Oh, jeez. Oh, I said, I can stay sober another day, whooping me. And I go to bed, and I think, damn, man, what's going on here? Then people hug you. All these men come up and hug me. I have that tingling sensation, question my sexuality. What's going on? What's going on? Guy hugged me. It's really impossible to do what you said you did. I tried it. We went to a meeting where a spiritual giant was talking all about God, sat on the front row, right on the front row, and after the meeting, we got our hand, he laid his hands on us, we get out in the car, and this guy says, we need a miracle. I said, really? What? He said, something. We need a sign. We need like a parting of the water or a burning bush or something. We need a sign. I'm thinking if I had some lighter fluid, I'd torch the hedge over there. I had a .45 automatic glove box. I got her out, run around in the chamber, stuck it up beside his head, and I said, I'm going to count to 10. You pray. If I don't have a floating resentment decide to pop a cap on you, you just done step 3. We just hummed right on through that one. He jumped out of the car, run in there in that meeting, and showed my sponsor where I had the ring on his head where I put the barrel of that gun. And rat fanked on me. Told my sponsor I put a gun to his head and made him do step 3. My sponsor said, yeah, no, ain't he spiritual? Hey, don't knock it, baby. We're both still sober. So, yeah, it's all on how you interpret it. And he showed up at my house, came to my front door, and by then I was sober long enough to have a concrete driveway. Yeah, moved right along, had a brand new concrete driveway with no oil on it. He parked his old car right up on my driveway, oil running right down my driveway. Had stickers all over it. Now the neighbors know, you know. He had a big book, and he was standing at my front door, and he's got paper all stuck in his book. I said, what do you want? He said, I want to do the steps like you did. And I'm trying to remember how I did them. I know I did them. I know I'm powerless, so come on in. My life's unmanageable because you're in here. You're crazy and I'm crazy. We understand each other. We must be on step 3. He said, you're not going to put that gun up on you. No, we're going to go in the kitchen. We're going to get down on our knees. We're going to read that 3rd step prayer. And he said, all right, go in the kitchen, get down on our knees. He cuddled up underneath my arm, had that tingling sensation, questioned my sexuality again. The cat walked by and looked funny at us. And he jumped up and threw up that book out on the table and a bunch of blank paper, and he said, that's my 4th step. I said, you're supposed to have that done when you get to my house. He said, no, I can't read or write. He threw me the paper. He threw me a pencil. He said, I'll talk, you write. And he started talking, and I started writing, and then he said, you ever do anything like that? And I said, yeah, I did some stuff like that. Matter of fact, yeah, I may be sick, but I ain't stupid. He can't read or write. We invited God in here. I can put some of my stuff right there in his. I'm going to tell you, I let go of some of that stuff that day. And we burned that one. When God sends the dumpster, don't wait for the trash truck. Put her in the trash. Drop it, baby. Drop it right there. And I dropped it. And he jumped up and kissed me on the cheek. ran out in the front yard, waved real big, said, "I love you," jumped in his old car and went down the street. And standing in my front yard that day, it went from the head to the heart. It went from the head to the heart. I had done my fifth step, and it had only made half circle. And that day when I sat in that kitchen, and I listened to that guy, I forgave him. It is in forgiving that we are forgiven. And I forgave him for all his sins. And he forgave me. And we sit there and talked about his little girl, my little girl, and he told me his little girl came home from school one day, and she was so happy he was sober, and she crawled up in his lap, and she had one of those little flowers kids cut out, and she opened it up and said, "Daddy, I want to give you a flower that'll never die." And I told him about my little girl, inviting me to come participate in one of her little functions. And I was able to stand in the back of the room and watch my little girl come out on the stage. She had a dream to be a model, and she completed a little class, and I was sober, and I could stand back in the back of that room and not embarrass her or make an ass out of myself. And I could stand back there against that wall and cry those tears of joy. Not tears of sorrow, tears of joy. And he and I sat at that table that day, and we were grateful because we were sober, because both our little girls were making the transition from little girls to women, and we were there for them and not against them. And sitting there at my table that day, it went from the head to the heart. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you every day's a holiday and there ain't no hockey out on the street, and every meal ain't a banquet like tonight, baby. I'm going to tell you something. I had me some bad days, bad, dry camel thirst days, baby. But I've had me 32 good years, 32 good years. And I made it through them days because of people, places, and things. I made it through those days, those tough days, because there's people in Alcoholics Anonymous. God bless those old-timers. There's two kinds of old-timers. You young ones, you new ones. You run around here shooting your mouth off. Some of them old-timers, when you hit the wall, they'll say, "I've been waiting on you to hit the wall, you little shit." You deserve what you get. And they serve their point. But there's old-timers in Alcoholics Anonymous. God bless those old-timers that believe that 10 years is just as important to save as 10 days, baby. That believe that 20 years is just as important to save as 20 days. And God bless those old-timers, because when my ass fell off out there on them streets sober, they said, "Come go with me." We've been there. We've been there. Come go with me. And they literally walked me through my growth. Because, you see, I was a scared little boy, and when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, all that fear went inside of me. It just went inward. Before, when I had that fear, it would go outward, and I would exhaust it, and I would just ventilate it. And when I sobered up, it just went inward. And I became a scared little boy inside. And God bless those old-timers that showed me that every good thing in my life is preceded by a wall of fear, and that I must walk through those walls of fear in order to get the good. Some are short, some are long, some may take a lifetime. But every time I walked through a wall of fear, I had somebody's hand. An old-timer had me by the hand and said, "Come go with me, we'll show you what we did." And they never let me slack off. They never let me slack off. They told me in the very beginning that I owed an amends to my family, that it would take the rest of my life to make that amends to my family, that I did not have the decision nor the right to do anything but what I was supposed to do as a husband and a father and try to be the best family man and take care of business. I owed over $250,000 when I sobered up, and it was to people you can't write them a letter and say, "I'll send you $100 a month." And I had to pay all that money back. And I didn't have an overwhelming good feeling about it either. I did it because I didn't want to get drunk. And I paid it back. And through a series of events, I was able to get a poke from a guy that had a lot of money, that knew my family and knew me. And he gave me the money. And he told me if I missed one payment, he'd kill me. And he had enough money to do it. And I believed him. And it took me 14 years to pay that back. And the last payment was right before Christmas, and I had the money, but it was going to be a lean Christmas. And I called him up and said, "I got the money, but can I postpone it?" And he said, "If that money ain't on my desk, you're dead." That was the way it was with the first payment, and that's the way it is with the last payment. I said, "I got you," and I mailed it. But I want to tell you something. I don't brag about that, but I'm going to tell you something. if the people in Alcoholics Anonymous would have let me slide on that debt, I would have sat on my butt and done nothing. But because they made me pay that back, I went to work, and I got a better job and a better job, and I did better, and I paid that money. I had to take care of my family. Thank God my wife worked. Thank God for UAW. I retired with 42 years in UAW, retired from Boeing Aircraft. I was able to get a pension, and I worked, and I did things that I probably shouldn't have done. As a matter of fact, at 10 years sober, it became apparent I might have to make amends for the way I was making amends. See, a character defect is not a character defect to me if it don't bother me. It may be driving you nuts, but if it don't bother me, it ain't a character defect. Thank you very much. And at 10 years sober, the FBI came to my door and put my wife and daughter and me on the floor, and my world stopped. My world stopped. And it wasn't because I woke up one morning and said, I think I'll change my life and get spiritual. It was because it was time. I couldn't handle it before 10 years sober. God will not give us more than we can handle, and it's right on time, one day at a time. And I can say that because I've been through that stuff. I got through it, and I had to start over, and I'm grateful for that. And I've gone through a surrender of 15 years. It seems like my sobriety, I start recognizing I'm going to have a surrender at about 12 years, and it hits me at 15. About the time I want to gloat over being sober 15 years, I got bam! And then at 20 years, at 19 years, I'm doing pretty good, and all of a sudden, bam! I get another surrender. And I think the reason I get to do that is so that I have something in common with a newcomer. I can sit in a meeting and say, oh, my, this is fun. I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'll go to a meeting and maybe I'll get a job. And I'm grateful for Al-Anon. I'm grateful for Alateen. I'm grateful that my wife went to Al-Anon, and she's got 32 years in Al-Anon. She's a very active member. We've not had a day off or any slack time. We haven't had any sabbaticals. We've been out there in the trench doing it day in and day out for well over 32 years, and I'm grateful for that. And we have a relationship because of that. My daughter was, when I sobered up, Daddy was drunk and Daddy sobered up, so Daddy's sober. My daughter could forgive me. But her mother was crazy, and she had a hard time with her mother. Her mother and her had a real hard time. And I'm grateful for Alateen, that she went to Alateen, and when she was 19, she made the transition into Al-Anon, and she's been in Al-Anon ever since, and very active, sponsors a lot of ladies, and very active in the program. And my wife has been too. And I'm grateful that they understand the disease of alcoholism, and they accept me as I am. My wife said I just became her entertainment. Whatever I'm doing, just wait a little bit, and you'll be doing something different. My daughter had a dream. She went to Italy to be a model, and became a successful model, met a young Italian man, and they got married over, they've been married 15 years, but they were together for 20 years. My daughter and her husband and my two granddaughters can call the same phone number and get Grandma and Grandpa. See, my daughter can call the same phone number and get her mom and dad. My daughter looks at her mother and father as the example for her relationship. And, there was a period of time, probably at 25 years sober, 25 years sober, 25 years sober, I'd done a lot of things. I'd had a lot of things. I'd experienced a lot of things in sobriety, and things were good. I didn't have any problems. And there was kind of a feeling that, there's no more first. It's like I've seen it all. I'm getting to be an old man. I'm retired. I work with a newcomer, and I like to nurture the newcomer, and I always work with newcomers, and I'm around. But it seemed like there was no more first. And I'm here to report, as long as I'm alive, there's some more firsts. My daughter had that little baby, that little girl, and she came home to America. She wanted that little girl to meet her grandpa. And my daughter flew 18 hours to bring that little baby over to the United States of America and flew into Los Angeles Airport. And my daughter came walking up that ramp, and I'm standing up there next to all the balloons and the flowers, so the kid will see me. And everybody from the world's over there, from all over the world. I'm just an old goof in there, and I'm excited. I don't know how to feel. I don't know what it's like to be a grandpa. My wife's standing there, and she's trying to be a grandma, and she's... And my daughter walked up that ramp and walked up and handed me that little girl. And that little girl's eyes sparkled, and she smiled, and her feet kicked, and I danced around like an old fool, and I held her up, and she was just smiling. She was looking at the balloons and all the fancy stuff behind me, I know. Yeah. My daughter and my wife stood there and watched me. And that little girl's looking at me. That little girl knows not the way I treated her mama. That little girl knows not the way I treated her grandma. That little girl had no reason to fear me. She had no reason to fear me at all. And I believe if I keep doing these things on a cold night, she'll never have a reason to fear me. She knows not the ugliness that I lived for many years. She knows only the softness and the gentleness of her grandpa. And I want to close with a story. Once upon a time, there was a family, a mother and a father, and a little boy and a little girl. And they were poor people, poor people. They had nothing. And they started doing some things, and it's good vegetables, and sold a few things, and they got a little money, and Christmas was coming. And they talked it over among themselves, and they decided that they would buy a present. They would buy a present that they could all use. And they got the catalog out, and they got what is it, something they never had before that they could all use. And they had never owned a mirror. They had never and ever owned a mirror. They'd never seen their own image in a mirror. Maybe a reflection, but never a clear picture of themselves. Now, when the little boy was a little boy, he was running around out in the barn, and his daddy was milking the cow. And the little boy ran around behind that cow and was jackassing around back there, and the cow kicked that and hit him in the face. And his face was ugly and distorted and twisted. And he'd never seen that reflection. He'd never been treated otherwise. And so they decided they would buy a mirror. And there come the day when the mirror came, and it was a big deal. And everybody got dressed up, and they were so happy that they were going to have this present, and they got this thing delivered, and they unwrapped it, and he stood it up. And the father, being a proud father, he had his best on, and he stood up in front of the mirror, and he looked at himself. He was a proud man, and he saw his reflection. And everybody looked at the father as a proud man. And the mother, she put on her best dress and pinched her cheeks, and she stood up in front of the mirror, and she saw the reflection. She was a beautiful mother and a good mother, and her cheeks were rosy, and she was the gentle mother they all loved, and she was exactly, she got to see her own image in the mirror. And the little girl, she put her best on, and she stepped up there, and she was just happy and straightened her dress, and everybody was so happy because she could see the picture, the reflection of herself. And then it came the time for the little boy to stand in front of the mirror. And the little boy stood in front of the mirror, and his face was twisted and torn, and he'd never seen that before in his life. And he screamed out, "Mommy, Mommy, I'm so ugly!" And he turned around and he grabbed his mother's leg, and he said, "How can you love me?" And his mother said, "Because you're mine." Now, tonight, sitting in this room with all the ugliness and the evil and the twisted thoughts and actions of every one of us in here because of the disease of alcoholism, how could we possibly be so ugly and so loved? Because we are God's. God is our Father, and we are His. God bless and thank you. a big old guy hugged me, and he held on to me, hold on to me. I said, "You don't let go of me, I'm going to need you." He said, "No, when we're hugging each other, God's in the embrace, and God's flowing through two people." I said, "You don't let go of me, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you." And he just hold on to me until I just kind of, I bit a guy's ear off one time because he wouldn't let go. And I've been hey, I'm sober just a little while, and some guy wants to hug me, and I just go, "Oh, thank you. I'll be all right now." I was just going crazy. My head was just crazy. I'm in there in this detox, and I tell this other person, I said, "I'm crazy. I'm just crazy. My head's going crazy. I want to drink all the time." And he had a little flower in a little pot. A little flower had a little thing. He said, "Here, look at the flower. Look at the flower." I took it and I ate it. I peeled it out and ate it. He said, "See there? That's the way you've been all your life." I didn't understand it. I didn't know what to pray. And I said, "It's a living prayer." I said, "I'm an atheist." He said, "Really? Really?" Then we got a dictionary. And he looked up the definition of an atheist dictionary. He said, "Read that." I said, "I don't even understand." He said, "See, stupid, you're going around saying you're something you don't even understand." He said to me, this guy said to me, I'm like 15 days old. He said to me, "You're stupid. You're stupid, and the worst thing about that is there's no cure for stupid." Damn! I'm getting all kinds of information. My wife went down on, the kid went down the team, the dog went down the dog, and the cat went down the cat. And they released me. I'm the provider. I've given them misery for 15 years. And now they want to release me. You're on your own. Okay. All right. My sponsor come and got me. He picked up me and 3 or 4 guys. Right before he come over there, and they put 39 of us in a circle in this detox. And they let us take each other's inventory kind of thing. You know, they started on my left and they went around. 38 people said I was a good old boy, but I was probably going to drink as soon as I hit the street. That made me mad. There's no more faith in that than me. I showed them I stayed sober the first year and a half on that resentment alone. And I want to tell you something else. I told them before I walked out of that room, I'm not here for the vote, and this ain't a popularity contest. So, heck with you. I'm the only one out of 39 still sober, and most all of them are dead. So this ain't a popularity contest. And the hell with the vote. This is about staying sober. The reason I stayed sober because there's a pilot light 2 inches behind my belly button that was a little tiny light. And when that old man come and got me in that van, and he threw me in the back of that van with a couple other hamburgers, and it was a box van. He had some old plastic milk crates back there. He said, "Grab a crate," and away we went. And he hit the brakes, and we'd all slide to the front. And he'd take off, and we'd all slide to the back. I wanted to kill this 300-pound newcomer that fell on top of me, but I was crying. And I just, every time they would abuse me, the wick got higher. Every time they'd try to break my spirit, the wick got higher. I remember one time I was sitting in a meeting, and the old guy was giving me some crap, and I had a gun in my boot. I carried a gun in my boot. I got my gun. I was sitting on the couch in a lawn club. I got my gun out of my boot, stuck it under his chin. I said, "If you're so spiritual, how come you're sweating?" He took that gun out of my hand. He grabbed me up out of that chair, walked me right out the front door, up to his car, opened his car, threw my gun in. He said, "Your gun's not welcome in the AA meeting, and you are. Now get your ass back in there and sit down." I went back in there and sat down. "Did you got anything to share?" "No." It made me shave my face and made me cut my hair. They took me down to this Salvation Army or something, and they got me a suit. Had the stripes going this way, and a little hanky, little tie, and shoes that didn't fit. and made me the secretary of the meeting. I was the secretary. I was the head sick. Okay? I was the secretary. They didn't have no money because somebody kept stealing it. I said, who's stealing the money? I said, look in the little box there and see who's leaving IOU. Because everybody would steal the money out of the little box, they'd put an IOU in there. You know? And so they had needed a cake, so I made a plastic Paris cake. Drill holes in it so you could have all the birthdays. And you could use it over and over again. Save money. You couldn't cut it and eat it, but I saved money. I was a quick thinker. And I was standing over at the meeting, and this guy come walking up to me. I was standing in there, and this guy come walking up to me. I seen him the night before. He's the treasurer of the meeting the night before. And they asked for a treasurer's report, and he stood up and said, I stole all the money, and I'm not paying it back. And they said, no, you got to keep doing it until you get it right. And here he is standing next to me. He wasn't short enough to be a man or tall enough to be a midget. He's a weird guy. Had hair sticking out everywhere. Had a welder's hat pulled down over one ear, and he painted his feet black with shoe polish so he didn't have to do socks, laundry. You know, he painted. He didn't wear no underwear either. And I said, what do you want? He said, will you be my sponsor? I'm thinking, oh, man, I know I made God mad. I know I made God mad. My sponsor would stand over in the corner, and when newcomers would come in, he'd grab them and, come here. So he'd get a newcomer and say, see that guy over there, Keith? So you keep drinking, you'll end up just like him. I was the group's best, worst example. And I went over to see my sponsor. I said, see that guy over there? He said, yeah. I said, he just asked me to be his sponsor. My sponsor says, yeah, I know. I sent him over there. If you go back over there and tell him you'll do anything he wants you to do. I said, what? I didn't argue with my sponsor, because if you argue with your sponsor, well, they foam at the mouth and little vein pulsates, and you got to make amends to them later. And I went back over to that guy, and I said, my sponsor says I got to be your sponsor. What do you want? He said, I want to ride home. By then I had an AA car, you know, moving right along, get an AA car. I had an AA car, had a license plate that says AA car. You want to know how I'm doing? Look at my car, parked right out in front. Check my car out. And that guy said, I want to ride. So he grabs my arm. We started leaving that meeting, and there's two guys leaning against the door jam over. And we get over there, Bob, and this guy says, look at Keith, he's my sponsor. I said, don't tell people I'm your sponsor, man. And them guys looked at us and said, man, it's going to be fun to watch you two grow. Get in the car, and he says, how about this? And he starts telling me some sick stuff. He said, you ever do anything like that? I said, yeah, I did some stuff like that. And I started telling him some of my stuff. He said, man, you're sick. We need to go to a meeting. I said, oh, we're going to go to a meeting. I'd take him home. I'd go get him. Looked like he stood inside the door. I said, why don't you call me here? He said, I did. Hell, you did. I'll be there. Get in the car. He get in the car, and he said, how about this? And he'd tell me some really sick stuff. A couple of times I had to lie to him. You can't let him one-up you, you know. I picked him up the next day, and he said, I know you lied to me last night. It's physical.